question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, what is going on? It is a Thursday evening, June 11th, 2026. We're rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 238 of the Throwdown, the community on the interwebs where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a wrestler based in my native state of Texas and a guy who is a former broadcast journalist. Welcome with me, all the way from Corpus Christi, Texas, Don Fernando. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. Doing good. How are you doing, sir?
Man, if I were doing much better, there'd probably be 2 or 3 of me.
Yeah, I wish I could clone myself, right? You get yourself to do different chores and whatnot, go to work for you, sleep at home. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you that are watching this live, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all, or at least most of Fernando's social media accounts along with mine. So do us a favor, if you aren't following or subscribed, take the time and go to each of them and do so. It definitely helps both of us. And again, for those of y'all watching live, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, kind of the theoretical elephant in the room, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
Oh man, well, good one. Yeah. So I actually just hit my 3-year anniversary in the beginning of May. But kind of sort of have been wrestling a little bit longer than that. I was wrestling with a promotion that quite frankly wasn't legitimate. And what I mean by that is I wasn't trained correctly. I wasn't it was a promotion that some would consider like, not legitimate. That's the best way I can put it. And took the leap of faith, ended up here in Corpus Christi with Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance, and got trained, learned all the unbad habits, and here we are now, running off to the races.
Nice, nice. So your earlier experience was basically kind of Backyard Plus?
In a sense, yeah. I mean, they were booking, venues. They had a ring. They were doing matches. They were doing angles. They did everything except for, the actual training inside a wrestling ring. So I remember one of my first memories, or one of my oldest memories with those guys was, I didn't hit the ropes for the first time until like the day of the event for our first show. So I was asking them like, yeah. So I was asking them, well, how do I hit the ropes? And they were like, oh, well,
you'll figure it out.
You just do this. You hit it with your shoulder, So I'm watching videos of like Hulk Hogan. And of course, the way Hogan hits the ropes is much different from, he's a
Right.
6'8", whatever monster, and the way he hits the rope's going to be much different than, let's just say, Rey Mysterio or whoever, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when it came time for your experience at Gulf Coast, who actually trained you?
Yeah, so I consider my actual trainer and coach, Mr. Ben Galvan. He is the promoter here at Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance. Cool thing about him, I'm not sure how much research you got to do on him, but he's a second generation wrestler. His dad was actually the promoter that started Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance, and now his sons are actually training too. You actually interviewed one of them, which was
Oh,
Chaos
Chaos.
Galvan. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So so he's wealth of knowledge, wrestled some really big names such as like Adam Pierce, who's like the Raw general manager now, wrestled him for the NWA
Right.
title back in the day. His dad was on cards with guys like Cactus Jack and Harley Race and Ric Flair and you name it. So a lot of history, with Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance, but a lot of history in Corpus Christi in general, in the wrestling scene.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. I have had the blessing to be alive and be a fan during a very cool span of time. I've been a fan, varying levels of fandom at different points in my life, but I've been a fan since I was around 11, and I'll be
Mhm.
57 in September. So I kind of grew up in the territory days, got to see the Monday Night Wars start to finish as they happened, the rise and fall of ECW, and really, right now with the rise of the indies and just the amount of good content that is out there, right
Mhm.
now is actually one of the most exciting times to be a fan of this stuff because there's just so much out there and so much good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did an interview with someone last week where I pretty much described it as like an embarrassment of riches when it comes to wrestling, because at this point in time, I mean, it's impossible to keep up with everything. It's just not possible. I mean, there's
Right.
so much wrestling, on the air now. Now you can jump onto like title match and watch any promotion pretty much all over the United States. I mean,
Yep.
that's just here. There's still stuff going on in Japan. Now Mexico's blowing up again.
Yeah.
Maple Leaf Wrestling in Canada. I mean, it's there's so much wrestling out there. It's impossible to keep up with all of it. Pretty cool time
Oh,
for sure.
for sure, for sure. So, in the early stages of your wrestling training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to kind of wrap your mind and body around?
Oh, that's a good question. I would think the most challenging aspect was just remembering, as The Rock would say, knowing your role, right? When you jump
Yeah.
into the wrestling scene, you want to just why am I not making the debut in the main event? Why am I not the top guy immediately? There's a lot of, work that goes into it. You have to earn your stripes, as they say. And, realizing that was tough for me because I just thought, okay, I'm gonna jump in a wrestling ring and I'm just gonna be really good at it and it's gonna go well and it's gonna be like but one thing I've come to realize, and I try to let some of our newer students know this as well, is what you're seeing on TV is years and years and years worth of
Mm-hmm.
mistakes, trial and tribulation, trial and error,
Yep.
that just happens over the course of years. You're seeing a finished product on your
Oh, yeah.
television screen,
Yeah.
and some of them, are still ongoing processes, So that's something I had to realize was like, oh, that's a finished product. I can't compare myself to that because I haven't done the work yet to get to that level as of right
Right.
now. Yeah,
Right. Plus, comparison is the thief of joy. I mean,
absolutely. One of my favorite quotes. Absolutely.
Yep. So, did you come to professional wrestling with an athletic or other combat sport background? Had you done other sports? Had you done other types of martial arts before?
Great question. Yeah. So, yeah, as far as in high school, my freshman and sophomore year, I did amateur wrestling at my high school, and they ended up getting rid of it the next year. So that was horrible. But I remember my first day, showing up for wrestling practice. I'm looking around and I'm like, where's the ring? Where's the ring? Where's the ropes? Where's the turnbuckles? It's just a mat on the
Yeah.
floor, guys in singlets, and they're like, "Yeah, this is what we're learning today." And I was just very confused, and it took a while to realize. I think I had watched a documentary on Brock Lesnar at the time, and
Yeah.
Brock was wearing the singlet with the headpiece, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so there's two kinds of wrestling, quote unquote, right?"
Right.
But after that, I always make the joke that so I actually failed one of my classes, so I wasn't able to go to one of the meets, and because our wrestling team was so small, I think we only had like 3 or 4 people. They obviously didn't place or do very well as a team. So the next year they ended up getting rid of it, and I remember hearing that the reason they got rid of it was because it wasn't considered like successful. So I was like,
Hmm.
man, like because I failed, maybe that was like a domino effect that could have led to, the wrestling team ongoing, from that point forward. But yeah, other than that though, I was just a track star, did long distance, which helps out with like cardio, of course, with wrestling and whatnot. And yeah, that would be the athletic background for sure.
Got you. Got you. Yeah, I wrestled 1 year in high school myself. And, interestingly enough, years later, several years ago now, but for a number of years, I actually trained in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And
Mm,
there was a bit of an adaptation with that. I was comfortable on the mat, so it seemed like a logical martial art to study. But getting used to fighting off of your back
yeah,
really took some getting used to, because as a wrestler, on your back is the last
yeah,
place you want to be. But,
yeah,
a lot of the jujitsu techniques, you're fighting off your back. So you got to
yeah.
sort of get used to that, because it's so drummed in your head, stay off your back.
That
But it
reminds
was
me of
fun.
the story with Kurt Angle when he was getting signed with the WWE and he talked with Vince about it and he said, "Yeah, I can sign this $1 million contract with you guys, but I only have one request. I can never lose." And this is
Yeah.
in pro wrestling, right? He's just like, I just can never lose, and he just didn't get it, because as a Olympic gold medalist, I mean, I get where he's coming from, but yeah, I mean, in the
Right.
sport of wrestling, it's much different.
Right. So, I'm presuming that you've been at least a fan of this stuff the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
What would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
Oh, good question. Yeah, so I actually have two that I like to point to, and it's a
Okay.
little unorthodox compared to others because I know everybody's their story is always, well, I saw it on TV one day and I was hooked, right? For me, my first memory of actually seeing wrestling was through the video game, one of the video games, SmackDown versus Raw. My cousins were playing it, and I remember seeing a guy picking up another dude upside down and bringing him to the ground. So the Undertaker tombstoning somebody, they hit their finisher on him. And I was like, what is this? What is this guy? And just watching them play as all the different characters was just interesting to me. But my first like memory watching wrestling, like in general, was this guy, the younger dude, spit in this other dude's face because he was telling him to hand the belt over. And it turned out to be, Randy Orton spitting in Triple H's face shortly after he won the world title for the first time. So Randy Orton,
Yep.
spits in his face, runs away with the belt, goes up into the audience, poses. You see Triple H all mad. And I remember thinking, like, man, this is like the coolest thing in the world. And yeah, from then on, I was hooked. I like to make the joke too that, because my brothers, I got 4 brothers. We all grew up, choke slamming each other on the
Oh, yeah.
mattresses and, that kind of thing.
Because
But
that's what you do.
yeah, we're brothers. You know what I mean? We're little boys. Just playing around. But yeah, I remember growing up, we would wrestle around in the room and whatnot. And as time went on, they went on to do other sports, play football, baseball, that kind of stuff. So I always make the joke, they grew out of wrestling and I just never did. And even now, they're respectful towards it. They don't watch wrestling whatsoever. They're
Right.
respectful towards it, but they don't really like get it. They'll ask me questions and it's so funny. They'll go, how was your game over the weekend? How was your how was your fight over the weekend? And I always appreciate it because I could tell they care and they're trying to
Right.
like, they're trying to ask and see how it's going. But yeah, so lifelong fan to answer your question.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So, what was the first live show you ever attended as a fan?
Ooh, great question. Yeah, so there was it was called NWA Wildside, and dude, I've
Oh,
done so
yeah.
much. Okay, so you've heard of it. Thank you, because
Oh,
I
very
was gonna
much.
say,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was googling them
That
like
was
crazy.
a very young AJ Styles was involved with that.
Oh, really? Okay, I did not know
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, so I was just trying to Google them the other day because the main event, and I was trying to find footage of it, is what I was trying to do. And I remember I had ran across it on YouTube one time, and I saw like
Hmm.
in me, I'm in the crowd as like a 12-year-old kid. So I was trying to find
Oh,
that
that's
footage.
cool.
Yeah, but I've been unable to find it. But yeah, it was a promotion titled NWA Wildside, and I remember the main event was Lance Archer, but he was going by Vance Archer at the time. He had
Yep.
just left WWECW, and I don't
Yep.
remember who the other guy's name was, but they were wrestling for their main title. And yeah, like that was to me, it might as well have been WrestleMania, man. Like, there was maybe like 50 people in the crowd, but for me, it was WrestleMania. It was a small little venue there in my hometown of Robstown. And ironically enough, because after Googling it, I had saw like the card, and one of the participants in that show was actually Ben Galvan, who ended up going on to train me later on, which is pretty
Oh, how
cool.
cool!
Yeah, yeah,
What a
full
neat
circle
full
moment.
circle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool.
super cool. I wish I could find the footage. I can't. Maybe you can find it for me or something.
Yeah. I'll keep my eyes open, see what I
All
can
right.
dig up. But so you've got a background in broadcast journalism.
Yeah.
How did you go from that to what you're doing now? I feel like something like that would actually give you a really interesting foundation to do this type of thing because you're probably not afraid of being in front of a camera and such. And so
Absolutely.
how did all that work out?
So, okay. So to kind of preface it, I took a page out of like Chris Jericho and Britt Baker's handbook, where hey, wrestling doesn't have to be your one and only thing. You can have
Right.
multiple dreams and multiple careers, and make a living off of it, right? So, obviously, as a smaller guy and a smaller wrestler too, I always thought to myself, okay, case this doesn't work out, let me get educated. I went to Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, uh, got my communications degree, and I actually fell in love with radio at first. I had no interest whatsoever in being in front of the camera. Number one, because I didn't want like archive footage to pop up one day of wrestling kicked off of me as a young whippersnapper with a messy which is so funny to me. But number two, I just always thought, I got a face for radio. I'm one of those kind of guys, right? But I ended up just by happenstance working at our local news station here in Corpus Christi. And, I was the guy that you see in the movies that's always like, holding the camera and going, we're going to go live in 5, 4, 3 with the headset. That was me.
Right.
And so, being that guy, I got to spend a lot of time with a lot of other news reporters and anchors and people who had been in the business for years and years and years. And there really is a lot of similarities between wrestling and the news business. But a lot of times, while talking to these people, they would go, "Hey, man, have you ever thought about being on this side of the camera?" And I'd go, "Oh no, not for me. No, I could never. No, it wouldn't be possible. No, 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 no." And they would just go, well, why not you? Why can't you? I mean, you got the voice for it, you got the look for it, you're professional, you carry yourself well. And so that kind of planted that seed there. And as time went on, I took the leap of faith, got the job. It was great. I'll always, always, always cherish that time because I really got the opportunity to make a difference, from the smallest level all the way to the highest level. Speaking with people in the community, very passionate about like small businesses. I grew a really good relationship or a really good fondness for like veterans. For whatever reason, I don't have any family in the military or anything like that. For some reason, they thought Fernando would be great to interview veterans. So, I would interview, gentlemen and women who were, like former POWs, Purple Heart recipients, just the best of the best that this country has to offer that served for us. And getting to talk with them and understand, like, man, like the things you went through just so I could do something like this is
Right.
incredible. So yeah, I cherish that time. To answer your question, as far as like how it relates to wrestling, or do they kind of coincide? For sure, being in front of the camera is something that's become a lot easier for me compared to other indie wrestlers who are maybe doing it for the first time, right?
Right.
But number two, also being able to form a connection, because you're forming a connection through the camera. You're looking at the camera, getting people to look at your eyes, talking in a way that gets people to understand what you're saying, but also being
Mm-hmm.
able to do interviews like this, right? I'm interviewing with you, and
Right.
I know how to do it because I was on the other side of it, being the one to ask the questions. But I do have
Right.
a funny story for you. One of my first times being live, we were doing this like charity event for this middle school or high school. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember after I had got off the camera, the photog had pulled me to the side and he goes, "Hey, real quick, man, just a little piece of advice." "Okay, what's up, man? What's going on?" And he goes, "You're not shooting a WrestleMania promo. Slow it down. You're not yelling at the camera. You're not talking up here. Bring it down here, just calmly to the camera." Because apparently I was like, "Come on out here to the, Rob Sound community or
Yeah.
whatever. Bring out all your money," like Mean Gene Okerlund in his prime,
Yeah.
man.
Brother.
Brother, right? Come on out, 80,000 people strong, that kind of thing. So he was like, "Just bring it down. You're great. You got the camera presence, but bring it down. You're not cutting a wrestling promo." Okay. So that's the difference between those two, for sure.
Nice. Nice. So, obviously the physical side of this is obviously extremely important. So tell us a bit about your gym routine, and in your mind, what would you say are the most crucial exercise or group of exercises for you to keep in ring shape with?
Great question. So I actually got in touch with a personal trainer recently, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never been the type to get a personal trainer. Without any disrespect to anybody who does it or who has it, right? This is just how I used to think. Was, well, that's a waste of money. I could just YouTube the workouts and I'll get it from there.
Right.
But after a while, I started to realize, okay, I'm really plateauing myself by not getting a professional to really guide me in the right direction, not just in the gym, but in nutrition, right? So I got in touch with a guy named Jimmy House, who is actually just recently got signed with the WWE ID program and
Mm-hmm.
just made his debut with Evolve. And we talked, and for me, what made me most comfortable with him was I was like, he's a wrestler. I'm a wrestler, so he gets it, right? I don't have to explain to
Yeah.
a casual, for lack of a better term, how wrestling works and my training routine for wrestling and that kind of thing, right? So we had
Mm-hmm.
a really good conversation, and he had told, or I had told him, smaller guy. He and I are about the same height. He's jacked to the gills. I need to be able to lift guys who are bigger than me. I need to be able to, be flexible enough to, jump off the top rope, or have the cardio to be able to yell at the audience while I got the guy in a headlock, that kind of thing. So he put me on a really good gym routine. I'm working out 5 to 6 times a week. Typically now I'm trying to work out in the morning before I get my day started. Just
Mm-hmm.
to kind of get the endorphins running, the blood's going to my head. I'm in a good positive attitude. There's something I live by called or it's there's a motto I live by that I title, get a win of the day. So you always try to get at least one win of the day, because then the rest of the day is set up, to be a successful one. And even if it's
I
not
like it.
successful, you got that one win of the day. So that could
Yep.
be, fixing your bed in the morning. That could be, cleaning up your room before you get started with the day. That could be washing the dishes before you get started with the day. So you get that one win of the day, you're setting yourself up for success. So typically for me, the win of the day is always starting off with the gym.
I like it. I like
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
looking over at the Instagram chat, we've got a fair number of people actually making their way through right now. We've got an upcoming guest, Thick Poppy. We've got, it looks like Ray Martinez. We've got my friend Dominic DeJesus out in Los Angeles. He is a previous guest from quite some time ago. Interesting guy. We've
Nice.
got the current one division pro heavyweight champion Phineas Sun, upcoming guest Noro Demora, and recent guest Ryan Days.
Nice.
So, away from wrestling, what are some of your hobbies and interests? What do you like to do with whatever spare time you might have?
So you and I were talking before the camera was rolling, right? I got two dogs that I
Mm-hmm.
love to spend all my time with. They're my boys. I got my old man Beerus and my young boy Broly. So I love to spend a lot of time with them. My girlfriend and I are big movie buffs, so whenever we get the chance, we like to go out to the movies any chance we can. Um, Video game geek. Love playing like games like Pokemon, anything that's involved with like Dragon Ball Z. I'm 100% into that. Of course, watching wrestling on my free time. I try to make a habit of watching at least one wrestling match a day. And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm at the gym, I try to listen to as many promos as I can. I think working on the promo ability is pretty important. So sometimes when I'm doing the treadmill or I'm lifting the dumbbells, trying to listen to some promos.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, we're obviously mostly a wrestling centric show, but we do dabble a little bit into pop culture. And you mentioned being
Okay.
a movie buff. So, I'm always looking for recommendations. By any chance, have you seen or listened to anything really cool recently?
Yeah. So have you seen the movie Obsession yet?
I have not, but I've heard. My son actually saw it and said it was really good.
Are you a horror geek? Do you like scary
Oh,
stuff?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
then it'll be worth it for you. Yeah, watched Obsession recently, and for me, I'm always one of those people that I don't listen to the critics, right? For me, I don't look at the Rotten Tomatoes or that kind of thing. So anytime they put out a good review or a bad review, to me, I'm always like, let me go and watch it myself and see what I think. And everybody was ranting and raving. TikTok's going crazy. Facebook, I'm seeing like number one movie in America, that kind of thing. So I was like, okay. So my girlfriend and I had went to go watch that recently. It was great. You should check it out for yourself. As far as like a show to check out, I mean, I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. Have you ever watched it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. So my girlfriend and I are always quoting like scenes from like Walter White or Hank even, and scenes from Better Call Saul. Did you ever get to watch that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you get it. You're one of the cool ones. So yeah. So those would be the two I'd recommend for anybody watching at home. Obsession,
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
You, you know, um, Actually, recently I have started watching a series. I figured I needed to watch it. People had been telling me for years that I needed to be watching this, and I just hadn't carved out the time. But it recently wrapped up, so I'm in the process of watching The Boys
Oh
off of
yes,
at Amazon, and
yes,
that is really good. I'm in the middle of season 2 right now, and I think there's 5 seasons, so I've still got a
yeah.
ways to
What
go, but I'm enjoying it.
what was the last thing you saw? And if you haven't seen this at home, guys, just close your ears. Just yeah, it's worth watching. So what was the last thing you saw?
The last thing I saw, like I said, I'm in the middle of season 2. I actually haven't watched it in a few days, but it was A Train having his cardiac arrest.
Oh, you're getting to some good stuff, man. And you should check
Yeah,
out Gen V after. Gen V's pretty
yeah,
good.
I've heard, and apparently they've got 2 more spin-off series in the
Mm-hmm.
works. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be good, man. I'm excited.
absolutely. So another outside of wrestling question, and that is, away from wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
Away from wrestling. That's a great question. So, there's a motivational speaker named Eric Thomas. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him.
I've not.
Okay, so I had a really, really, really terrible time in high school. I was in a pretty toxic relationship at the time, and my parents weren't doing the best. On the brink of divorce. We were facing a lot of financial problems. There was just a lot of going on for a teenage kid, right, to have to handle. And I had this really, really horrible moment where I was walking to school one day, and there was cars passing back and forth right by me, and I remember thinking to myself, like, man, all I got to do is just jump in front of one of these cars, and just all this stuff just goes away, all the pain goes away. I don't ever have to deal with any of this ever again. And I remember thinking to myself, obviously thinking negative all the time leads to you breeding more negative thoughts, right?
Yep.
So maybe on the other end of it, if I think positive, I can breed more positive thoughts, right? So I ended up going on YouTube and just searching up motivational videos. And one of the first ones that came up was Eric Thomas, Secrets to Success. Listen to it. This guy's story is pretty incredible. Religious guy, fully full heartedly believes in God. But he was a product of a teenage mother, like myself. Didn't meet his dad until he was a grown man, like myself. Was homeless by the age of 16. Was eating out of trash cans, and he had a preacher, bring him to church one day and basically told him, like, hey, your life means something. You can make something of yourself. And just that little bit of positivity bred something in him to go on and try to make something of himself. And now, if you Google him, Eric Thomas, he's considered one of the number one motivational speakers in the world. I mean, he's traveling all over the world, going to Australia, all over the United States. He does seminars like for prisoners. He does seminars for children, high schoolers, uh, famous athletes. He's done multiple different partnerships with like the NFL. And it's just this kid who literally came from nothing, that just brick by brick worked his way up into becoming this guy.
Wow,
And so,
that is beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And even now, well, before I say that, he's met some of the top like motivational speakers in the world, and they tell him like, you're better than me. You've come from areas that I could never even have imagined. So that's inspiring. But even now, even this morning, Matt, when I was at the gym, I was listening to one of his videos, just trying to once again, breathe that positivity in my brain.
Right.
So to answer your question, outside of wrestling, he's probably like my number one hero. And I hope to
Nice.
meet him
Nice.
one day. That'd be great.
Absolutely. So again, glancing over at the Instagram chat, Texas wrestling superfan Breeze Wrestling Adventure popped in, and she said to tell you
Hey,
hello.
hi Bree, how you doing? Good to hear from you.
So, they say that the best wrestling personas are usually kind of yourself turned up to 11. So tell us about in-ring Don Fernando and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
That's a great question. So I love that. So I like to say that I'm a pretty nice guy, right? But in being a
Hmm.
nice guy, sometimes you get people who kind of take advantage of that, and just, growing older and becoming more mature, I kind of realize like, hey, can't really trust everybody. Not everybody has your best interest in mind, right? So after just kind of years and years of kind of experiencing that, not in wrestling, but outside of wrestling, in jobs that I've worked, and just everyday life, right? I just kind of realized like, some people just suck, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with Don Fernando, he's kind of like my vessel to release all that anger that I kind of stored. Like, oh, you remember that time you cut me in the line, or remember that time when I was a server at Red Lobster and you only tipped me $0, and that's who
Yeah.
Don Fernando is. I think as a personality, just the kind of stuff I say on the mic, it comes from a place of a guy who loves dad jokes. I love my dad jokes. I love my corny pickup lines. I love my you know hyperbole when I speak. Right. Sometimes I like to make things bigger than they actually are, and in wrestling, that's the perfect vessel for it. So that's kind of how I channel that. Now, as far as like the look and the character and stuff, obviously there's a little bit of Ric Flair in there. There's a little bit
Yeah.
of Gino Hernandez in there. There's a little bit
Yep.
of Eddie Guerrero in there. But I always like to say, anybody else could put on a robe. Anybody else could put on a robe, grow their hair out, the beard or whatever. They'll never be me. They'll never be Don Fernando. It's just, you
Right.
just can't. The one thing that the one thing in wrestling that you got to bring is yourself, right? That's the one thing
Yep.
that's going to separate you from everybody else. I'll never be Ric Flair. I'll never be Ric
No.
Flair. I could practice all the moves. I could learn the figure four. I could woo as loud as I can. I'm never going to be Ric Flair. Never going to be Bobby Roode. Never going to be Rick Rude. Never going to be AJ Styles when he wore the robe for a while. It's just not
Yep.
possible. I'll never be those guys. So the only thing that I can do to make Don Fernando as exciting as I possibly can is channel myself into that character.
Right. Right. So, in the 3 years that you've been doing this, if you can narrow it down, what is your favorite match that you have been a part of?
Oh man, it's too close to call. I've had so many that for whatever reason hold a special place in my heart. Circumstances at the time um, made them as great as they were. I think my favorite match or moment that I could point to now was when I won my first wrestling title. And
Hmm.
the reason for that, Matt, is because at the time I had just got the job as the news reporter. And I was like, okay, let's try to focus on news for a little bit, take a little break with wrestling. It's going to be a little busy trying to learn the ins and out of the news world. So I want to try to put 100% of my effort into that and get as good as I possibly can. I
Right.
had one more match. All the other bookings after that were, non-existent. I didn't plan for anything. It was going to be a fatal four-way match for the inaugural championship at this promotion.
Hmm.
And I was under the assumption that I was not winning. I was told I was not winning. The guy who was winning, I even congratulated him. I said, "Hey, man, you worked your butt off. Congratulations. You earned this." And he just gave me the, yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, that's great. And everybody kept coming up to me and saying, "Hey, man, give me a hug. Good luck." And all I could think, Matt, was, everybody here is so nice. Wow, everybody's so cool. Turns out, I'm sure you can understand where this is going. A rib was played
Yep.
on me. I
Yep.
was winning the title. I did not know I was winning the title. What was told to me was I was going to hit my finish. The guy who was gonna win was going to come off the top rope with an elbow drop while I was pinning the other guy. I would get hit. I'd move out of the way. He'd do his finish on the other guy and take the victory. That's what I was told
Right.
was going to happen. So I remember when I'm pinning the dude, one, two, I have my eyes closed because I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt. It's an elbow drop right from the top. I can't plan for it. Oh, this
Right.
is gonna hurt. The guy I'm pinning goes, congratulations. What? Three. Crowd pops. Referee hands me the bell, and I'll send you the video afterward because it's hilarious seeing my reaction because I'm just like, I did not expect this to happen whatsoever. And, what are you going to do? I was supposed to take a break after that and not wrestle for a while. But now
Right.
I'm the champion of this promotion that's really trying to, establish themselves. And they thought I was good enough to be that guy that they could hang their head on and say, that's our champion. So I said, okay, cool. Well, I guess this is what we're doing now. Let's off to the races. I'll figure out how to be a news reporter and a wrestler at the same time. And yeah, it was tough for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure you've developed at least some of these, but what would you say is your biggest wrestling related pet peeve?
Ooh, that's a great question. without trying to bury anybody, right? I'm not
Of course.
gonna,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think,
Names changed to protect the guilty, right?
yeah, I think, and I'm sure you've been doing this gig for a while, so you'll relate to this answer. I think a lack of professionalism, I think is my biggest pet peeve. When you're showing up to events well after call time and there's not like really a legitimate reason for it. It's just kind of,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
when you and I've never had this happen before, but a buddy of mine and I make this joke all the time where it's yeah, my character would never do that. Yeah, that one kind of hits a spot in my heart that I don't like. But I would say, yeah, probably the biggest pet peeve was the lack of professionalism. I think maybe a second one is when you can tell the other person has not put on any deodorant or
Oh
taken a
yeah.
good shower or washed their gear or looks presentable. I think that's that would be number two right after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Actually, he must have felt us talking about him earlier. Chaos Galvan just popped in on the Instagram chat. So, hello, Chaos. Glad you're here, buddy. Um, so, in the 3 years you've been doing this, what has been the most unique encounter that you've had with a fan? Do you have any funny fan stories?
Mm. So it's not really a funny fan story, but it was definitely a unique encounter.
Okay.
And I'll be frank with you, Matt. I was pretty pissed about it because the
Okay.
number one rule between a wrestler and a fan is never touch a wrestler, right? You never try to step
Right.
into that, the
No.
splash zone, right? You never step
Yeah.
into it. You stay away from
No.
the wild animals. But what had happened is I'm getting ready to take a guy was going to go for a dive on me, right? So I'm in position, getting ready to catch him,
Right.
and one of the things I like to do as a heel is I always try to pick on whoever is the biggest heckler. If you're yelling and you're heckling the wrestlers, I'm talking to you the entire time because that guy or girl is going to get everybody else around them to get louder or start laughing or whatever,
Right.
just hoping Don Fernando gives them some kind of reaction, right? So I'm always picking on the biggest heckler. Well, in this particular match, there was a group of children that were really into it, and those children are usually pretty easy to work, right? So I'm talking crap to them the whole time. Well, while I'm getting ready to catch this guy for the dive, a little kid comes up behind me and tries to grab me while the guy is in midair. So
Oh
the other
no.
guy, yeah. So the other guy, and I see it, and the other guy had to kind of like move his body back and fell in an awkward position. And I kind of like, had to move out of the way so we don't hit
Mm.
this little kid. And of
Right.
course, your first thought is where the F are the parents at, right? What the heck is going on? And, I had a discussion with some fans afterward where I basically had to tell them, like, hey, like, keep your kids out of the splash zone. This is not a safe area for children to be around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No bueno.
No bueno indeed. No bueno indeed. Actually, I just thought of this. I had another recent fan experience that just happened a
Okay.
few weeks ago, actually, where the angle was basically I had turned on my best friend and I turned heel on a heel, which is funny. That's how super heel I am.
Yeah.
Turned on my best friend, and afterwards, this fan comes up to me and she goes, can I curse on here? Am I
Oh,
able
of
to curse
course.
on here?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just to preface or to really get what she was saying, so she goes, "If you ever fucking hit him again, I will haunt you in your fucking dreams." By the way, here's a note for you. And I was like, "What?" And so I opened it up, and it was like a little like Don Fernando sign that she drew on a little piece of paper, and I was like, "Okay, that's strange." Yeah, so that would probably be my number one strangest fan experience.
Nice. Nice. We're actually getting a couple of questions in the Instagram chat now. Chaos
All right.
wants to know who
Oh
your
no.
favorite Galvan brother is.
Ben Galvan Jr. is my favorite Galvan brother.
And Cool Rocket 29 is asking if we can get a dream match with Ricochet.
Dream match with Ricochet. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Definitely. Hopefully one day. Love Ricochet. The stuff he's doing in AEW right now has been leagues better compared to his WWE
Yes.
run. Leagues better. And I'm gonna be frank with you, Matt. I was one of the haters that was like, he's washed, he's done. Oh, they turned him heel. Oh, this is goofy. This is never gonna work. I was one of those guys. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that he proved me wrong. He's been doing amazing.
He has really embraced and leaned into the heel work that he's doing, and yeah, he's doing the best work of his career right now.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So hopefully one day.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So what would you say is your all-time favorite match as a fan? Is there a match that is just near and dear to your heart?
So I got three top matches. But number one, I'm gonna put Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. Obviously,
Oh
as a
yeah,
Texas boy, right? Texas
yeah,
boy, two Texas guys in a Texas arena, Houston, Texas, for WrestleMania. For me, especially at that time period, I didn't realize that like wrestling has times where it repeats itself, right? Sometimes you wish and wash feuds that have happened before. So for
right.
me as a kid watching that match, I thought, wow, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker are legends. They've never wrestled each other before.
Yeah,
Wow. They've never been in a feud before. Wow. And they're going to wrestle at WrestleMania for the first time ever. They've never touched, they've never done anything with each other. And years later, finding out that, they had their feud or whatever in the Attitude Era. But yeah, that would be my number one favorite match of all time. Number two is going to be one from the archives is Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat at I think it was a Chicago Stampede, I believe it was. I think that was the name of the pay per view. I can't remember at this moment, but the reason that match just holds a special place in my heart is because growing up, you always hear, yeah, Flair and Steamboat, Flair and Steamboat, Flair and Steamboat, and I was under the impression that like everything in the modern era is better than whatever happened in the past. Again, dumb kid, didn't know any better.
yeah,
But going back and because at the time the WWE Network was around, rest in peace, missed that. But at the time it was around, and I remember looking it up just to see, okay, let's see what it was like. And yeah, some of the stuff that Flair was doing in that match is stuff that I still do now, that I steal from him, because it's the proverbial like what's old is new again, right? There's a
yep,
lot of stuff from previous times in wrestling, your era, growing up, right, that people don't do anymore. And so when you
right.
see it now, it's refreshing to see it compared to what's going on in the modern times. Third favorite match is probably going to be just because it inspired me to actually take the leap of faith to be a professional wrestler. It was Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan in a steel cage. That was when, or no, Bryan actually wasn't wrestling against him. It was the Usos versus the Wyatt family in a steel cage. And Daniel Bryan at the time had turned heel. He was wearing the overalls and had joined the Wyatt family. And he ended up turning babyface afterward. And I love that moment so much because if you actually watch it back, there's not one single person in that arena that's sitting down. Every
Yeah,
single person is standing and they're all doing the yes chant with him at the exact same time. And when he
yep.
ends up hitting the B plus knee on Bray Wyatt, crowd pops. He goes up. He's on the steel cage. I got chills when that happened as a teenager, and I remember thinking like, man, I just want to make people feel this way. So for that
Yeah,
reason, that's my number three.
absolutely. You know, a match that I always recommend that especially the really young wrestlers go back and watch, and it's a Flair match.
Mhm.
Is it was from a Clash of the Champions back in 1989. It was an I Quit match between Flair and Terry Funk.
Oh yeah,
And you know the match I'm
yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
Yeah, master class in storytelling. I
yeah.
mean,
I watched the promos leading up to that because
yeah,
I had never, again, didn't know about Flair's career. I had never known that he had ran as a babyface at one point. So running as a
yep,
babyface against Terry Funk, who was supposedly retiring at the time after he had just finished filming that movie. I mean, that's just good stuff. And then the I Quit match itself, yeah, phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. Great match.
absolutely. Uh, Actually, again, glancing over at the Instagram chat, Jimmy House just popped in.
Hey,
So,
Jimmy. We were just talking
so
about you earlier, my friend, Jimmy.
absolutely. So, this is one of these questions that the answer can literally change almost minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, week to week. But at this very moment, in your opinion, who are the best male and best female wrestler in the world? Who's the best man and who's the best woman right now?
My goodness. Yeah, you're putting me on the spot. Best wrestler in the world as of right now. Hmm. I'm gonna, because I've always seen wrestling, or being the best wrestler as the best overall, right? So you're
Yep,
not the best technically, you're not the best, high flyer, you're not the best on the mic, but you're the best when it comes to being roundabout with everything, right?
yep.
That's
The
how I
total
see
package, yeah.
the whole package, exactly. So I'm gonna, and this may be a controversial answer. If you guys hate this answer, that's fine. I get it. But I'm gonna say Cody Rhodes at this time is probably the best wrestler in the world, just because this guy can be in the ring with anybody. He can wrestle any style, big, small, uh, luchador, a Gunther type, LA Knight, you name it, he can wrestle them. But he's also, marketable. He can be the guy that you do all the media with. He can talk on the microphone. Um, he's still young enough and still athletic enough that you still see that he's got some growing to do. He still has more potential in the tank. He's still getting better every day. Obviously, he's the WWE champion, so that in itself is the tip of the hat. So yeah, I'm gonna say Cody Rhodes as the best male wrestler in the world as of right now. Best female wrestler in the world, I'm gonna point to. And there's a lot because female wrestling is at an all-time high right now. Right, the
Yes,
roster is stacked everywhere you look. But I'm
absolutely.
gonna just point to Becky Lynch just because I don't have a really good answer right now for best female wrestler for the same reason. She's the same thing. She's good on the mic, she's good in the ring, she's a good person to send for the media. She sticks to her character, sticks to kayfabe. Always a fun tweeter. Whatever she puts on Twitter, you're looking at it, you're laughing at it, you're entertained by it. Her gear always looks
Yep,
great, music's great, you name it. So I'm gonna point to
yep,
Becky Lynch as my women's wrestler.
absolutely. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the move I hate, because it's popular right now and everybody does it, including myself. But if and the guy just puts you in the corner and just chops you out of nowhere, hate that stuff. So for that reason, I don't throw chops because I don't want to get chopped back. That's the one move I hate taking. It's as simple as it gets. Anything where I'm upside down, hate taking moves like that. I don't want to take any burning hammers or anything like that. As far as like a favorite move to hit, there's just something really special about giving somebody a power slam. So it's the one that Randy Orton does. Guy goes for the clothesline,
Oh,
he
yeah.
ducks it, they come back, he gives them the power. I don't know what it is, but when I hit that move and I hear the crowd like explode for it, there's just some kind of rush I get from it. So that's probably my favorite move to hit.
Nice, nice. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask you what hurts right now.
What hurts, like
Yeah,
just in general? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Just
great question. Great question. So
thank you.
I would say the middle of my back. Right now, I got a tailbone injury that I'm dealing with right now from taking a dumb bump in the ring during training. It was the simplest bump you can think of, and took a bad bump with that. And if you've never injured your tailbone before, I do not recommend it. Sitting down hurts. I got to stand a lot right now. Um, so my neck, obviously got some neck.
Whoops, looks like you froze up on me. Aha, I think he's back. Maybe.
Did you
Okay,
freeze? Hello?
you froze, and then I don't know what
Oh,
happened, but we're back.
okay. Yeah, no, you froze. Your face was just stuck while I was talking, and I was like, I
Yep,
think I'm
yours.
boring. Am I boring?
No, yours froze on my end, so I don't know what happened, but we're back.
Okay, no problem. What was the last thing you heard me say?
You were talking. You were starting to talk about what hurts. You said the middle of your back, and about then you froze.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So the thing I said after that was I've been dealing with a tailbone injury. And if you've
Mm-hmm.
never hurt your tailbone before, I do not recommend it because sitting up from sitting down is an uncomfortable position. Obviously, going to the restroom is uncomfortable. Neck issues. I started going to a chiropractor just to kind of help readjust because obviously just sitting in a desk all day and taking multiple bumps in training or in matches definitely starts to pile up on you.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, what is the worst bump you have taken thus far in your wrestling career?
I took a choke slam for the first time from a guy who was near 7 feet tall. And he kept saying, it's your own bump. So I don't really do anything. You just jump up and you fall back. And I just
Okay.
didn't, I was maybe like 6 months in, I didn't really know what that meant. But at the time, it was like a big match. So I was like, okay, well, let's do it. I just agreed to it. Let's do it. And I don't know what I did wrong, but the guy picked me up, and when I went down, didn't tuck my chin all the way. The back of my head hit the thing, and felt like a shock through my entire body, down from my neck all the way down to my back. And it was just one of those things where I squeezed the fingers, and I was like, "Am I okay?" It hurt like hell. I've taken some choke slams since, and it's fine. I guess just being more experienced and knowing how to bump right, it's fine now. But yeah, that's probably the worst bump I've ever taken.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
So knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
That's a good question. So, I would say the best piece of advice that I could give to my younger self would be the more you invest in wrestling, the more things are going to work out. And also, the thing about wrestling is there's no hiding anything. As soon as you
No.
step into that ring is going to let you know whether or not you did the work. It's going to let you know. If your cardio's not there, it's going to let you know. If your body's not there, the crowd's going to let you know.
Yep.
If you don't know how to wrestle, the other guy you're wrestling is going to let you know. It never lies. The stereotypical there's no substitute for hard work is very much so prevalent in professional wrestling. So I would tell my younger self, remember whatever you invest in wrestling, it'll work towards you, and the ring never lies. It knows when you've done the work or not.
Absolutely. So, do you have any pre show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Yeah, so I always try to just take a moment to number one, just understand where I'm at. There was a time when I was, I used to work in the oil field and I gained a lot of weight during the pandemic. And I remember I would just dream all the time about hopefully one day somehow getting into the wrestling business. and getting the chance to be a professional wrestler and what I would do if I was a professional wrestler and that kind of stuff. So whenever I have a moment, I always just try to say thank you to God for living the dream that I once dreamed of. I also just try to ask God, hey, please keep myself safe, keep everybody here safe. Let's all rock it tonight. Let's hopefully put on a show that makes people want to come back and buy a ticket next time. So that's usually the pre-show tradition, just saying thank you and just praying for everybody to be okay.
Absolutely. So, just kind of a quick rundown. Tell us about your gear bag. What all do you carry in your gear, and do you carry anything unique or unusual?
Nothing unique or unusual other than like an inhaler. I found out maybe about 2 years ago that I developed asthma. Apparently, it was like something I developed when I caught COVID, which is crazy. So I carry around my inhaler. Other than that, I mean, it's just multiple sets of gear. If a guy's wearing purple, I don't want to wear purple. I'm wearing white. If a guy's wearing black, I don't want to wear black. I'm wearing purple, right? So just multiple different colors. I'm trying to figure out a way to carry multiple different robes all at the same time in one bag. It's not working out, so for now, I'm carrying it around in my merch box. Carrying around an extra pair of socks, extra pair of underwear, extra pair of shorts in case afterward I need to, undress and be less sweaty. Carry around a towel, some cologne because again, like we were talking about earlier, it's nothing worse than wrestling a guy who has bad body odor. So I try to live by that. So I'll spray a
Yeah.
bunch of cologne on myself before I go out. Try to get the most expensive one I can, so I smell really good. And that's about it, man. Nothing too crazy other than the inhaler.
Gotcha, gotcha. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. And one of my recent guests is a wrestler based in Florida by the name of Shane Evans. He goes by
Okay.
the Element.
Okay.
And the question that he asked is if you could be in any type of gimmick match, what would it be? Is there a gimmick match that's like a dream for you?
Yes, absolutely. I was just telling somebody this the other day. I have not gotten the opportunity to do a cage match yet, and I've not gotten the opportunity to do a ladder match yet. Those would probably be my top two dream matches that I've always wanted to do.
Gotcha, gotcha. So since this is part of a series, do you have a question you would like to ask the next guest?
I got a deep one for you. So
Okay, let's hear it.
ask them when was the last time you thought about quitting wrestling, and what made you continue on with it?
Ooh, that is a really good
Yeah.
question. How would you answer that?
Oh man. I would say maybe about a year ago, I really thought about hanging it up. I was really, really, really under a lot of pressure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I had stopped working in news at the time. Wrestling wasn't quite going my way. I was starting to feel like the effects of wrestling. Kind of started to get a little bit depressed. Not eating the best food, not really taking care of myself, and it was just a pretty rough time. And started to get pretty insecure, like you were saying earlier. Comparison is the thief of joy. I was seeing
Yep.
guys that I was in the ring with that were doing really good, and wish them all the success in the world. Right? I'm not like jealous or envious. It was just seeing them doing so good and knowing that I had been in the ring with them and wasn't doing as good that made me start to think maybe you're just not made for this. Maybe you just don't have what it takes to be involved in wrestling. What made me actually change my mind was just continuing to attend shows, like as a fan. I always
Mm-hmm.
recommend to any wrestler on your off days, go and just watch a show as a fan and understand
Yep.
what works and what's not working. But just being in the audience and seeing other guys do the passion and putting on some excellent, matches and getting the crowd up and getting myself up, making me pop, made me realize like, oh yeah, no, I got some left in the tank. This is still what I want to do with my life for sure.
Nice, nice. So during his farewell tour, John Cena kept bringing up the concept of leaving wrestling better than he found it. And that really resonated with me. I was just thinking, what a cool thing to strive for. So I've kind of incorporated that into my repertoire of questions. So, what are you doing to try to make wrestling a better place? What are you doing to eventually leave wrestling better than you found it?
Yeah, so that's a multi-layered question. So I'll try to just simplify it as best I can.
Okay.
Anytime I'm talking with somebody who is not a wrestling fan, I try to really make them understand like the professionalism and the athleticism and what it really takes to be a wrestler, making them understand like the kind of pain that you endure as a wrestler. And recently, I was talking about my brothers earlier. My brother and his fiance actually went to see me wrestle, and his fiance had never seen wrestling ever. She'd never been to a wrestling show. She didn't get it. She didn't understand it. And there was a spot where one of the women's wrestlers gave me a hurricanrana, and I took the bump. And I talked to her afterward, and she said, "How do you know how to do all that? Like, what did it take to make that happen?" And I told her it was a shoot that the girl just jumped and got me by the neck and just spin me around. And she's
That's
like, "Are
great.
you serious? What happens when that happens?" You go, "Oh, you just run with it." So I always try to, I always try to get some respect out of people that don't watch wrestling. Another thing I like to do, and it's just a motto I like to live by, especially working with a local promotion. There's always a fan out there that doesn't know you exist, right?
Yep.
So I always just, when we're putting up posters, when we're passing out small posters, I try to form that connection with that one fan that doesn't know that Corpus Christi has their own independent professional wrestling organization. There's a fun story that I have where it was about a year or two ago. CM Punk, I was wearing a CM Punk shirt, and WrestleMania was coming up. This was when Cody and Seth were going up against Rock and Roman, and I had went to a Buffalo Wild Wings, and this guy comes up to me and he's just like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome, man! Like, I love wrestling. You're gonna watch WrestleMania? Oh my goodness!" And we just got to talking, and I told my girlfriend, like, "Do we have any small posters on us?" And she goes, "Yeah." I go, I'll be right back, man. You just wait right here." So went to the back, or went to my car, got one of the small posters, gave it to him, and he said, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, we're having a show here in Corpus Christi just next week. You should come out. You're a wrestling fan. You're gonna love it." And he was like, "Are you serious? Didn't even know this existed. Oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever." Right? A little bit of time goes by, we're eating our food. He comes back later and he goes, "Yeah, I just told all my friends, like, we didn't even know this existed. We just bought 7 tickets. We're gonna go to that show."
Oh, how cool.
And yeah, and they've been coming back. They don't come to every show. That's fine. Tickets can get expensive, right? But they
Yeah.
still come to the shows, and I just think it's amazing when you can hook that one fan who doesn't know you exist and bring them in. The third thing is always trying to be a good investment in the community. When I worked in news, I got really involved with working like with small businesses that were really trying to make it. And so still getting that opportunity to work with small businesses, whether it's through sponsorships or, going up to them and saying, "Hey, can we put this poster on your window?" "Sure, but can you give us a shout out on your social media?" "Absolutely, let's do it. We help you, you help us. We're a family business. We're a local business. Like, we're hand in hand, right?" So that would be probably the three things that I do to try to make wrestling better than I found it, for sure.
That's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
I love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's just that's really great stuff. So before we wrap all of this up, I want to give you a couple of minutes to kind of put yourself over. So, do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you want to give some hype to?
Yeah. So once again, going back to giving back to the community, Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance has a kids camp that's going on starting tomorrow. So we're bringing some kids in that love wrestling. Their parents are going to be able to be the audience to be able to watch the kids live the dream, right? So We show them all like the techniques and workouts and stretches that we do as professional wrestlers to train for what we do. So running the ropes, doing your rolls. We put the mat out so they can learn how to jump off the middle rope, not exactly the top rope unless they're pretty brave. Last year we had some where we were teaching them how to do like lucha libre stuff. So we're guiding them on the top rope so they can do like flips off the top and that kind of thing. So that'll be going on this weekend. What's really cool about that, Matt, is it's going to be leading up to our next show, which will be next weekend. We have a baseball team that's associated with the MLB, so they're called the Corpus Christi Hooks. They're like a minor league of the Houston Astros. And so we're going to be having a show at the baseball stadium during the game. So it's going to be matches all day. Those kids that participated in the kids camp are going to get the opportunity to show off their demonstration in front of fans there and just give themselves a highlight
Oh,
and a
how
memory.
cool.
Yeah, amazing stuff. So it's just something to give them a memory for the rest of their lives. Obviously, the parents are going to get their free tickets to be able to go and watch them do their thing. So yeah, that would be the thing I'm gonna highlight for today. Come check it out.
Very nice, very nice. Well, as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, this coming Monday, the 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 239, and our guest is a well-traveled wrestling commentator and occasional manager, the Black Diamond, Scene Nick. And then actually a guy that was in the chat earlier, this coming Wednesday, the 17th, also 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got episode 240, and our guest is pro wrestler Thick Poppy. And as far as what else is coming up, I'm actually booked at this point through the third week of July, and I've sort of settled into a sweet spot where I'm kind of usually booked about a rolling 6 weeks out, and that's worked out pretty well.
That's awesome.
And man, I absolutely love doing this show. I mean, being a small part of a business that I've loved for 40 plus years has just been the coolest thing in the world. And next month will actually be 2 years that I've been doing the show. So
Hey, congratulations. That's awesome, man.
thank you. Thank you. It's like I said, completely a labor of love, but man, I have met some of the coolest people doing this show. And man, episodes like this remind me why I do this show. So thank you for your time. This
Thank you.
has been amazing. And
Hey, thank you.
for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until Monday night with Scene Nick at 7 p.m., be good to each other, love each other,